the fairground calendar begins on February the 14th. That's the first day of the season for all showmen, inasmuch as that is the opening day of the King's Lynn Mart, which is a fair first held in the 16th century. Always opens on February the 14th for a fortnight, occupies the Tuesday marketplace in the middle of King's Lynn. As I say, that is the curtain raiser for the season. Not everybody can go there, of course, it's only a limited number, but for showmen, that is the start of the new season. Once that happens, it's all systems go again. It doesn't all go off together from that date because it really doesn't get going totally until Easter time. That is the first bank holiday of the year, and that's the point in the year at which all showmen will be busy. In those weeks that lead up to Easter, after King's Lynn, you've got other fairs, mainly on the eastern side of England, places like Wisbech, Stamford, where they have a Mid-Lent fair.
Oh, the vehicles, well, when lorries first, there was like chain-driven scammels and things like that. The brakes wasn't brilliant on any of them. In those days, when we used to go from place to place, we'd go in the car first to make sure the roads was all right. There was no steep hills, because we'd take the easiest route to go there, not necessarily the shortest route, the easiest where the lorries and the equipment would go downhill without the brakes fading on you and all that.
One of my uncles, Bobby Wilson, I think, when was it? Must have been the 50s, early 50s. They had a set of gallopers, galloping horses, and the story went that my father and my brother, they was taking the galloping horses from Stratford Mop to Banbury Fair, and they just had all the organ done up on the gallopers, and it was a beautiful thing. Like, and they have to go up the old road. You used to go up Warminton Hill, which is a very steep hill, and they didn't block it up right. The organ used to be in the back of the truck, and they didn't block it up right. And the organs come out of the truck and set off down the hill and hit a tree and smashed in a million pieces. It's in such a mess, it's untrue. And part of the organ was a statue of a man playing a trumpet, and my brother would be about 12, 13. He picked up the trumpet and he blew it, and they chased him up and down this hill for about an hour trying to catch him, because it was a total disaster.
With our business, it is very family orientated. It's a very friendly business. We have strict guidelines on health and safety regulations. We're not a type of industry that comes in, as most people or a lot of people imagine us to come in the middle of the night, take over a field without permission, put a fairground on a site, and have no safety regulations or safety standards. Everything that we do is governed. It's governed by the Showman's Guild, which is the governing body that looks after us, that sets the regulations, that works hand in hand with the health and safety executive. They set the standards that we have to comply with, and if you don't comply with those standards, you're brought before a committee. You can lose your membership of the guild. If you're not a member of the Showman's Guild, it makes it very difficult to operate. Most local authorities like to operate with members of the guild because of the safety standards, and we've got a set of our own in-house rules that we must comply with, and if you don't, you can be fined thousands of pounds.
A showman's hours are different to obviously a person who lives in an house, because a person who lives in an house is used to getting up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. I mean, we do obviously sometimes, but obviously we work late at night as well. When the rides close down and we have to get them down, we wouldn't get in till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning.
I'm 50. I was born on the fair, or into the fairground business. I'm, what would it be, third, fourth generation. My father, my grandfather. My grandfather was a professional, I think they called it a drunk and a fighter. That's what he used to do. We started doing this about 150 years ago. The family I had two sorts of professions, which were this and soldiering. These were soldiers. That's all we ever done for God knows how many years. But the First World War put a stop to that. They killed too many of us. You know, some, I think, they lost half the family. So then we decided it was too dangerous to be a soldier. Everybody had the right. We was all right when we was fighting Zulus and things like that, because they only had spears. But when everybody had guns, it decided to take the edge off of it.
Well, they have to be all sorts, really. They have to obviously keep the home clean. That's their main job, be a mother if they've got children. They also have to be an accountant, a doctor, a nurse. You know, most of the girls, if they've got hot dogs, they set them out, get the stock and whatever for those, and obviously mind them at the end of the night. If they've got small things, they set them out, get the prizes and the different things that they give out for them. It's quite hard, really, for the women. Plus, they have to put up with grumpy men when we've been in muddy fields and, you know, things are not going quite as nice as it always looks when you're looking at the lights. But, you know, it's not easy being a woman on the fair.
I'll tell you something about fairground people. If they're on the fairground with you and they've got the same different rides as you, or one thing or the other, they will try and take as much money as they can, more than you. But if you're in trouble, they're the first ones there.
Well, when I used to be open with the hoopla, I used to get in it, try and take what I could. And my dad, I used to say sometimes to my dad, "Oh, ain't there a lot of us here?" You say, "Well, Kate, everybody's got to get a living." You say the baker don't bake bread for one man, he bakes a bit of bread for everybody. He was right. He was a good philosopher, wasn't he? You know, he's seen that we all used to have plenty of bread.
Well, they vary so much. I mean, a little kiddies ride, if you're going brand new, a little kiddies ride now, you won't get no change out of £30,000. Between £25,000 and £30,000, that's a brand new ride. And the bigger rides, I mean, they go. You're talking, you can go from £100,000 up to £1 million. It's as simple as that. It's as simple, you know, that's how much they cost.
The coconut chai, like I said, that only goes up 4 times a year. That is exciting, really, really exciting, because I don't know what it is, but everybody stopped throwing, or they can't throw. They haven't got no direction at all. I always get it at least 3 times a year, or 3 times a place actually, every time I have it up. That's minimum. And a couple of years ago, my son sat in the back of the, and I said, "Watch the ball, people throwing the ball." And he said, "No," he said, "I haven't been hit for 3 years." And I said, "Well, it's law of averages, you go." And he was hit 8 times in one day. He went completely potty. He's got lumps on his arms, lumps on his head. He went completely. I'm not. I said, "Well, it's law of averages. If I get hit 3 times a place, you've got to get it." I said, "But you haven't been hit 3 years, so it makes it up."
Well, I was born in a wagon up at Asford Bannel, which is about 4 or 5 miles from here.
Oh God, the low points. Obviously Coventry when it's raining and we're getting winched out and stuck in fields for 2 days at a time trying to pull out. That's probably low for the girls, the boys, the women, children, everybody. Nobody likes that. For me, the best time is the back end time of the year, when we do the mops and the street fairs and things like that, because I see my friends who I don't see all summer, and you know, you catch up on old times. It's a busy time for us. It's our best time of year, business wise, but it's a good time for it as well, because you see a lot, and we have different gatherings, get-togethers and functions, you know, through the back end time of the year. So for me, that's what I like the best, really.
I once went to Banbury Fair, and this must be 15 years ago, and they'd done all the precinct, and they'd been building a McDonald's while I was there. We opened in the street at Banbury, built this McDonald's, and when we went back, they'd had the McDonald's open for about 6 months, I suppose, and I pulled my lorry in position, and the manager of the McDonald's come out and asked me what I was doing there, you know, and I said, "Well, I've come for that." He said, "Who gave you permission to put your lorry in the by McDonald's?" So I said, "King John." And he said, "Who?" I said, "King John." He said, "I said, Richard the Lionheart's brother, you know, King John, because about 800 years of Banbury Fair has been going on." And he said, he was going on about, you know, he's blocking my view and blah, and he kept on and kept on. I said, "Look," I said, "no offence, your best plot is whatever the best day you've ever had, double it in, not treble it." I said, "Because in 3 days you'll see more people here than you've ever seen at Banbury." So I don't see him for the 3 days, and we've pulled down, and it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I looked into this McDonald's when I went to move my lorry, and People say a lot of things about McDonald's, but the one thing, they are spotlessly clean. But this McDonald's was like a bomb had gone off it. There was chips and tomato ketchup, it was a mess. And this manager come out, and I said, "Are you all right?" He said, "Am I all right?" They had 3 sets of staff brought in. And he told me that 5 was suffering from exhaustion, and 3 was on suspension for insulting the public, you know. He said, "We've got it all organised." And I said to him, "What do you mean? Tomorrow?" I said, No, that's it. He said, "What?" I said, "That's it. It's another year now." And he said, "What? I said, "Yeah, it all goes away tonight." He said, "The street to be clean by 4 o'clock in the morning."
Like I said, the way the weather's been this year, it's a joke really. I mean, if it wasn't a way of life, you just chuck it in. You'd say, "I'm not doing that anymore." You know what I mean? That's what you'd say. You know what I mean? But it is a way of life. And like I said, last year we did have quite a good year last year, so hopefully we're looking for it to come up again next year, sort of thing. You know. But this year has been it's rained just at the wrong times for us, sort of thing. You know what I mean? But I mean, obviously next year we might just be lucky and might go the other way, sort of thing. You know, I think last year we only lost one weekend to real bad weather. Well, this year I think we've probably had one good weekend of good weather, sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's been that, you know. My wife said yesterday it's raining again. It doesn't surprise you, because that's the way it's been this year. You know. Yes, that's right. My family's was before my family. My mum and dad was in this business, and their mum and dad before them. It's just passed on in generations, really. You know what I mean? It's a family thing, really. It's a family run. Most of it's all families. That's the way it goes, really. To the kids, you bring the kids into it. Hopefully, take over when you're finished, sort of thing. You know, when you retire.
No, I don't think so. I don't think showmen ever retire. They just carry on, you know. You just slow down, that's all.
Children, they miss a lot of schooling, I've got to say that. A lot do stay at school. My mum stayed behind, and we had our full schooling. And one or two go to schools, you know. But the children are very forward. They can handle money. They know exactly what they've got. There's no fumbling about, you know. Like some of the little kids that come up, they don't know just what they've got to give you or anything, but they can sit in the pay box and they're away. So what they lose in one way, they gain in another, you know. And they're all pretty good. And they all know each other. I mean, as you go from fairground to fairground, if you don't stay with the same lessee, you get to know people on each fairground, so you've got a load of friends. It's lovely, it really is.
I think fairs will always be going, because the younger generation of showmen now they'll still want to travel, but that'll be the main thing, finding the places to go to. There's a lot of equipment on the road, and as the younger generation grow up, they want equipment, and they'll want to travel. But I think there'll always be a fair. There'll always be fairs. It's a tradition here. Other countries, some of them, they wish they had the same sort of thing as we've got, really. I mean, there are more fairs abroad now than what there used to be. And showmen go from this country now to different parts of the world and to open. Hong Kong and Malaysia and places like that. There's nothing like an English fair. Americans, when they come over here and they see the Stratford mop and that, they just can't believe it. They could move into a street at 6 o'clock in the morning and be open by about 10 o'clock, especially when you go from one town to another, because they'll ask you where you're going and you tell them, and they'll be there to watch you build it all back up again.
Don't know anything else. I'm ready to go now. We pulled in end of October. It's now January, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to turn out and move again. I've been still for long enough, really. I like to be out. I don't like to be settled.